are a horrible dinner guest.
Why aren't you listening to me?
The next question is...
This interview is over.
Hello. I see some waves. My audio is working. No one's going like this in terms of there's no echo. That's worked. Has that worked? And you can see me. Let's call it quits now, shall we? Lovely to see you, everyone. See you next week. Oh, it's great to see you. Welcome. It's week one. How's week one going? It's been a bit crazy in some parts of the country, hasn't it? Is everyone okay? Yeah. Well, welcome to week one. I hope things are going for you okay. If you're in one of those areas impacted by the cyclone, do reach out if you need any help. But it is lovely to see me. Lovely to see me. Lovely to see you. This is me. So I'm Paul Duckett, and I'm teaching qualitative methods on this Methods 3 unit. Good morning to you. I do see some familiar names and faces. Some of you took my qualitative component at level 2, so lovely to see you again. See some new faces as well, so it's lovely to see you. Now, if you were in level 2, in our methods unit level 2, you remember we produce, maybe this is a nightmare, this is re-traumatizing you, maybe. But you may remember where you're producing those non-linear thematic maps. There's a look of terror over some faces, I see.
I don't know about terror. I'm still disappointing that I didn't get, my learning opportunity was more about me than you. So.
Well, good news, because
other than running over my word count.
Well, you get another go. So we're building on that. We're building on what you did in that assessment with the non-linear map. And this time, talking about building on it, you get to do some thematic analysis for yourself. So that's going to be fun. But also we have another assessment for our qualitative, which is where you get to conduct a qualitative interview, which is very exciting. But we're definitely building on level 2. So you do get a chance to build up your skills there if you feel you missed out last time round. Now, first up, just to explain, some of you might not know my wonky way of doing things here. Me old man trying to use new tech. And I'm a bit rusty, so things may go a little awry today, but I've been rehearsing, I've been practicing, so if it does go awry, I've got no excuse. Now, I'm going to put some text up on screen, so when I share a screen, I'll share it in my camera feed. So that ordinarily that would include our chat, Zoom chat, and I'm just looking over there now. I keep forgetting to look at chat. Good morning, Paul. Good morning to you, Callum. You and Rocky. Oh, you missed it, just missed it. Hey, and Rocky. And now, hello, China. And eating, so chat soon. Good to see you all again. Great. So chat ordinarily will come up on screen, but my chat is not working. You might see one of us is called chat admin, and there's a little text on the screen. That's me on another computer, and that would be the way I'd get chat up on my screen, but it's not working today for some reason, so I may be able to get it working in the next week or the week after. But if not, have a look in chat in Zoom for all the text there. But don't worry if you see text coming up on screen and you're working off a small screen. There won't be anything up on my screen that isn't available either in Zoom chat or up on Moodle. So don't fret if you don't see anything there, because what I'm doing is putting the text up on my camera feed so that people who are watching the recording can access it. Most of us aren't here, so a lot of people hopefully will be watching the recording. Now, with the recording, I'll just go through all of the domestic stuff, the kind of housekeeping stuff first. So with the recording, I'm only recording my video feed, so just my camera feed getting recorded. Your camera feeds don't get recorded, but I do record all of our audio. So if you aren't on mute, that'll be in the recording. I've got Zoom recording as backup, and I'll only use that for audio because that's capturing everyone's cameras. But I'll use my own recording as long as the recording doesn't fail on me. So you can kind of rest easy. You're not on camera in the recording. When we go into the breakout rooms, nothing gets recorded there. So no audio, no video. And the reasons for that are explained up on Moodle. Let's get to Moodle. Let's get to Moodle in a second. So up on Moodle, you'll see a video that explains why we don't record the breakout rooms. And the breakout rooms, you go into small groups and work on some activities, and we'll be spending most of our time in those breakout rooms. The recording of this bit, and when we come back after the breakout rooms, if there's anything meaningful in the end bit, I'll record that and put all of that up on Moodle. It'll be on a YouTube link, just so that you can access it by YouTube or access it and watch it directly in Moodle. But it's an unlisted video, so it's not publicly available. It's only viewable by people who've got the link. So if you want to watch it on YouTube, you have to go into Moodle to pick up the link, if that makes sense. Just the YouTube tends to be better quality than the things that Moodle is not. I don't know if you've noticed this. It's not a video playing platform. It does it, but begrudgingly. Okay. Before we get into our breakout rooms, I'll just walk you through a few things. So let's go and look at the horrors of Moodle. That worked, didn't it? Did that work? Now you can see, hard to see me and hard to see the screen. We're in business. Fantastic. I'll just kind of walk you through Moodle just to navigate you through where we are, though this is probably all familiar to you now. You've been with us for a while, haven't you? So you know our systems. So, can I get this working? Right, so week 1. And let's go down to our tutorial activities. So down here, you'll see all the detail on the activities for us. So today's activity is all described there for you. This goes into much more detail. I'll put summaries of the activity up on screen and in chat for you. But this is a more detailed version of our activity for today. So if you get stuck at any point today, just look to Moodle and it'll give you some additional prompts in there that may be helpful. I know you can't read it on my screen, but it's just showing you where it is, really. It's pretty useful if you can access Moodle whilst we're in our tutorials, because sometimes there'll be links on Moodle that you'll need to click on during our tutorial to access an activity. That's not the case for today, so you don't have to be on Moodle for today, but for future weeks, if you can have Moodle available to you, that would be great. And just above the activity for today, you'll see the teaching videos. There's 5. I think it only takes about 50 minutes to watch all of them, so they're sort of short videos. And generally a good idea is if you watch the videos before the tutorial, because the video content will shape our discussion in the tutorial. We won't be discussing what's in the videos, but that material will help us shape the activity. But if you haven't done it for this week, don't worry, it's week 1. So it's always forgiven for week 1. You can do whatever you like in week 1, and no one cares. We don't assess you in week 1. So you can relax this week. And it doesn't matter if you haven't watched the tutorials, but do try to have a look at those, because it also explains some of the teaching approaches. And there's also a video in the tutorial section on why it's good to have your camera on. I see lots of cameras on. I see a few cameras off, but we'll get to that just in a second. So let's see if we can get... Hey, look at that. I shouldn't draw attention to this, should I? But I'm so nervous this doesn't work. Am I the only one who's impressed by this? I am the only one. Arne is given a thumbs up, which could indicate, yes, you are the only one impressed, or I'm impressed. But I won't question further. Stay on mute, Arne. Don't answer that one. All right, don't answer that one. Okay, so let's get to business. Now I've put too much pressure on myself, I think. Right, hold on. Right. 1, 3. Okay. Desperately pressing. Okay. Nothing's happening in the background. Everything is going seamlessly. So let's get to business and get to today's activities. So there we go. Oh, right. There we go. Seamless. Nothing happened there. There was a glitch in the network. So, rules. Look at this. I've been working so hard on this. Is this an improvement from last year? Or is this just, oh my God, it's getting worse. Oh my God, thank God this is the last unit that he's teaching me on my undergrad. Okay. So, the rules. So, the rules today. So, your rules, and I'll post up in chat a summary of this if I can. Done. Oh, I should look in chat. There is some gentle encouragement. Love the investigators' hats. These are my Australia, UK, my cross-cultural approach to qualitative methods. Okay. So I'll just post in chat. This might come out as gobbledygook. It's kind of there. Yeah, sorry, that's a little bit messed up. But in there's just a very, very quick summary of what I'll go through just now for you. So, your rules for today. You'll be familiar with this stuff, so it's the same as previous units I've given, but I'll just go through them, and perhaps we won't need to go through them for the next few weeks, because we've got 3 weeks on qual to start with, and then we come back week 7 and 8 for 2 more weeks. So, first off, switch to gallery view when you are in your breakout room. Right now, if you go to speaker view, you might be able to see my text a bit better, but you won't be able to see other people in the room unless they're unmuted and cough into their microphone, then they'll suddenly appear on screen for you. But if you go, when you go into the breakout room, make sure you're in gallery mode, which means that you can see everyone in your group. So that's the first rule. And keep your cameras on. So there is a video on the reasons for putting your camera on if you can, and I understand there may be reasons you can't. It's just that it's nothing worse than speaking when people's cameras are off. It's okay when you do it with me because I'm used to it and I'm paid to do this, so I can put up with the discomfort. But when you're in the breakout rooms, you've been fairly small groups, and it's hard to engage with someone when their camera is off, and you never know if they're really listening or they're just, I don't know, doing something else less interesting. So camera's on, but if you have bad internet, which means you can't put your camera feed through, that's fine. If you've got some pretty major privacy issues that aren't camouflaged by a blurry background, then that's fine. Or if you haven't got a webcam, then that's fine. But apart from that, try to keep your cameras on. I will not judge you if you have your camera off. I'll just expect that there's good reason for you having your camera off. Okay. All right, someone in chat, Carly. RM2 instructions, or did I copy down the wrong instructions in Moodle?
Yeah, I just thought I'd double check because I've copied and pasted something else. But in your copy and paste, it's talking about linear figures and themes.
Oh, is it? Oh, that's the first thing
Yeah.
that's gone wrong. Oh my gosh. Well, ignore whatever I put in chat. Oh yeah, that's a completely different activity. All right, ignore that. And let's just rely on what's on the screen and what's on Moodle. Is that okay for everyone? Don't do what I told you in chat. Be like me, ignore chat. We got agreement there? Okay. All right. I'll try and get that fixed for next time. So, yeah, keep camera on. That brings us nicely You'd have thought that I put this rule in just now, wouldn't you, in response to this? Avoid using chat, avoid posting in chat. That's really a rule for me because I'm so bad at it, obviously. But when you're in the breakout rooms, try to avoid chat if you can, because it's kind of a bit like, realize old man talking here, old man making sense of the internet. So, but I think it's kind of like passing notes between people when you're using chat and you're in a small group. If your group's fine, if your group kind of lives in chat and enjoys chat and that's the way you want to roll, use chat. But that's something for your group. But start off understanding that you need to negotiate using chat rather than just use it automatically without thought. Does that make sense? Is that a controversial one? Any Gen Zers? And we all good? Am I doing the old man stuff too much now?
Do you mean like posting in like the general chat when you're in your like breakout rooms?
General
Okay.
chat's fine. General chat's fine. You can pass as many notes as you want in general chat when you're in the big room. But you do have to sometimes shout at me saying, Paul, look in chat, because you're not looking in chat. Camera and mic reserved for next week. Sorry. That's all right, Michaela. Completely understand. Just looked at chat notes now. But when in the breakout rooms, yeah, try to avoid it if you can, unless that's fine with your group. That makes sense? It's sort of a rule, but one you can easily break if you want to. Okay, let's move on. So talk and listen, that's the key, really. Just make sure that everyone has the opportunity to talk and that people listen to what people are saying. That's kind of key. And do let others speak. So just kind of self-monitor, really. I'm not going to come around monitoring what people are doing. But just make sure that you're not talking too much or too little, or make sure you're in your comfort zone. My role is pretty limited, really. So it's to try and mostly listen and not to talk, but to help you talk in your groups. So try, if you're getting stuck in your activity and you can't find anything to talk about, I'll then talk and try and facilitate the discussion. And keep us to time. Now, one thing to mention about time, which is why we've got that chat admin window there. If you're running late and you come into the tutorial late, don't worry. But if you are so late that you've missed my rambling at the start, we might all be in our breakout rooms. So you'll just be sat in the main room on your own. So if that happens, just sit tight. I will spot you eventually and I'll put you into a breakout room. So just be aware of that. And if you need to leave early, you don't have to ask permission when we're in the big room, but when you're in your small group, then don't just disappear. Just say to people, I've got to go, sorry, I've got an appointment, loving your work. So you don't just disappear. Okay, someone's... Right, let me just mute. Can I mute everyone just for a second? Hold on. Not that I don't want to hear from you, but we just had someone's mic came on accidentally. Okay, I probably muted myself now. Okay. So that's all. And now let's get to the activity, which is not the one in chat. So, tutorial activity week 1. This is all discussion stuff. So I've got 3 points of discussion for you. So you're going to be in a breakout room in a small group. You've got 3 items to discuss. So the first, and I reckon about 25 minutes you spend on this. But I don't think you'd need much more, but see how it goes. Spend as long as you want, really. Ask each other, who's your favorite well-known interviewer? That's your first question.
What if you don't like have an interviewer? Is there another kind of type of speaker?
You'll have to talk about that in your group, because one thing you might need to unpack here is, who counts as an interviewer? You might, and there are a few prompts on Moodle to help you with that, but you might, the initial problem you have might not be the problem you think it is, but if it is, then it's fine. Just listen to what other people's favorite interviewers are, and then maybe look up one of them and see if you have a regret over never meeting an interviewer before in your life. Okay. So that's activity one first discussion point. Oh, hold on. And then when you've identified who your favorite interviewer is, or you've got maybe more than one, why are they your favorite? Why do you like them? Why are they so good? Activity 2, what experience do you have of interviewing? So have you ever interviewed before? Where have you interviewed? And again, you've got to kind of think about, oh, I wonder what he means by interviewing. So that might need a bit of discussion. You know, say, oh, does this count? Because I've done this thing. Does that count? And then the third point, so that would be about 10 minutes, I reckon, and about 15 minutes. What qualities do you think a good interviewer needs to have? And that's starting to focus in a bit more into the grit of the unit in terms of the sort of skills you think good interviewers need to be good interviewers, and maybe the skills that your favorite interviewer has. Does that make sense? Got some thumbs up, got some nods. Oh, Sabrina, I've just seen your cat ears. They're amazing. I do like that. Draw attention. Oh, okay. Right. So that's the activity. And I'm back. Now, before we get going, I've got a couple of, I got a warning. There's a system. I've got this alarm system I've rigged up that some of you might have remembered from last in Methods 2. This might be a surprise to you if you weren't on Methods 2. There's a word, there's a 4-letter word. Don't shout out random 4-letter words that you think could be offensive, because otherwise I'll have to go in front of the disciplinary committee again along with you. So there's a 4-letter word that if it's used on the unit, it can trigger my alarm system. So I'm not going to say the word, because if I said the word bias, oh no. Right, so, sorry, right. Do you see the lights? The lights all went red, but the bias had covered it up. Oh, no. Right. Okay. Did you hear that? Did you hear the alarm? Okay. You're not impressed, are you? No. I tried to get it. Was that too loud, too soft?
I didn't hear it. Either that or I need to clean my ears out.
It's not working on you, is it? The alarm system's... You've immunized yourself. I know what's happening there, Carly. You've got a counter. What are those things? Counter things to counter my alarm.
No comment.
Yeah,
No comment.
Darren got to us first. Yeah,
Okay.
we're all quant.
Trust me, I heard it.
Okay.
And saw it.
And,
It was heard. It was saying, end of story.
okay, let's move it. That's a kind of, yes, Paul, I heard it. Let's move on. Isn't it?
There's everyone wrong.
That's what that is. I understand that. I remember you from last year. Okay, let's move on. Right. So, with no more to say about that, I'm going to do the thing where this annoys the hell out of people. I think even more than the other bits of what I do. Right, this is the bit where we go into the breakout rooms. Now, I've noticed we have Cairns. Is anyone in Cairns? Come in front of the camera if you're in Cairns, in the big room with other people. Oh, I see. Oh, I'm sorry. I can see you there. Are you there? You have to give the universal sign language. Give me a wave if you're the only person. You're the only person. Have you got a laptop there? Are you also on my screen? Oh, Larry, are you in?
I disconnected my laptop.
Okay, right. Are you able to reconnect your laptop?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Because if you're the only one in the room, is that right? Okay, you're reconnecting as we speak. So I'll tell you what the issue is. Okay, so let me just check with Bundaberg. Bundaberg, is anyone in Bundaberg? You're a blank screen. And anyone in Rockhampton? Okay, Cairns, right. So the issue is that when we go in the breakout rooms, You will go into a breakout room, your room will go into a breakout room, and then you can interact with people just using the mic in the room if that's fine with you. Or you can just focus on your laptop. It's completely up to you. But if there are more people than just you in Ken's in your room, then I'll just put you into a room on your own and you can kind of have your own kind of actual physical breakout room. Does that make, have I complicated that, Ken's? Does that make sense? Got thumbs up. I see the thumbs up. Okay. So I think we are just about there. So now I'm going to have to put us into the breakout rooms. Now, I've got some good news because I usually do this on my own, but we've now got Central Control Center in Zoom somewhere, I think it might be Washington, D.C., that I'm going to hook up to. And they will start creating the breakout rooms for us under my supervision. And then we have our local breakout room, Zoom breakout room technicians who will do it. So they'll give me assistance. But it does mean that there'll be a little sort of interlude as I put everyone into different rooms. So with that said, here we go. And don't give me a look, Maxine. This is meant to, this is valuable learning tools I'm using here. It is. So I don't care what you say. All right, here we go. So I'm now gonna put people in. Oh, I haven't done the maths, have I? The maths. How many people are there? How many of us are there? Because I'm crap. You're the quant people, aren't you? 31 of us, except for chat and except for -2, -3, -30.
Groups of 5, so there's 29 people.
Look at that. Who was that?
Craig, sorry.
That's you, Craig. Right, got my eye on you. You're too good at the quant. We'll drill that out of you. Don't worry. We've got 3 weeks. Okay, so groups of 5. Let's go. Oh no, I'm running out of time. Oh God. Right, breakout rooms. I didn't even have the damn thing open, did I? So we have. Oh, it doesn't tell me how many people are going to be in a group. It's 6 groups. It's six groups. 6 groups, Craig. 6 groups. 6 groups. Yeah. People are just going to leave now. Okay, I'll go for 6 groups. Right. So here we go. This is a purely random process because I can barely do it as it is without the thought of putting thought into this. Right, here we go. So we've got group 1 is ready. I've got a video coming about where you can and can't use AI, and I think you'll probably conclude after this experience, Jesus Christ, Paul, just use AI for this, could you? Here we go. Right. I think we're there, guys. I think we're there. Right, Cairns. Oh, actually, no, hold on. I need to put you into a room, don't I? So Chatbot, Rockhampton, Bundaberg can go into a room. And... oh, I was so close to doing it. Right, so we're all there. We're good. Was that too painful? Was that okay? Was that better than last year? Have I made that less? You've gone very quiet. You just want to get on with it, don't you? Okay. Right, just a few words, just to remind you, or if you're new to this, just to let you know that when you're in your room, I'll come around to each room and we're spending, was it 25, about 40 odd minutes or so, 40 or 50 minutes. But if everyone finishes the discussion, we'll come back into the main room earlier. But I'll come around to each group and I won't announce when I'm coming. and I'll leave without any kind of goodbyes. So apologies for that. It's just I'll pop in, just see if you're doing okay, hang around for a little bit, just because I'm interested in your discussions, and then move to the next group. But I can't spend very much time in each group. So don't mind me popping in and popping out. And if you don't want me there, just say bugger off, Paul. Go somewhere else. And that's fine. I'll go somewhere else. And once I got a sense that everyone seems to be about finished, we'll come back into our main room. Excuse me. And we'll kind of conclude, see what sort of things people came up with. How does that all sound? All good. All right. So let the madness, begin. Good luck and see you shortly. Something should appear on your screens to say join my breakout room. Have I got this right? On. Okay. So the groups are fantastic. There was some brilliant.
It's not on, Paul.
Oh,
If you're recording, there's no recording for Zoom at least.
Oh, sorry. I've got 3 recording. I've got 2 recording systems going on, but yeah, it's good to have this backup. So I'll put it on Zoom as well. But the Zoom one is the one that if everything else goes disastrously
Recording in
wrong,
progress.
then we'll rely on that. But thanks for the heads up. So the things people were talking about in the meetings were great. We've got 20 minutes. So maybe just give you an opportunity to share some of the things you were talking about. There was very quickly, people got to that notion that interviewers doesn't mean, look at the special effects, eh? Bargain, isn't it? For the fees, eh? Worth half the price. So people were rethinking interviewer in terms of some of the more familiar interviewers we have. So Oprah, Graham Norton, and Louis Theroux. These are my choices that may not necessarily be the same as yours, old man again, but Louis Theroux and Stan Grant. So these are people that we see quite regularly on our TVs who are doing interviewing. So people picked up on that really well. And there's some great discussion. I've picked out a few points, but let's just open the floor and just see what people were talking about. Start off, who your favourite interviewers, why, and then we'll get on to what you think are the best, the experience you've had in interviewing, and then that final bit about what you think makes a good interviewer, what the skills you need. So let's just open your mic, and if we get in, everyone starts opening the mic and talking, we'll do a hands up system and I'll be chair. I've got to get everyone on screen so I can see hands up, don't I? Gosh, we're a lovely big group, aren't we? It could be quite telling next week, isn't it? To see if as many people are here or suddenly find other things they need to do. Anyway.
I'm happy to go with what we were talking about in our group. So I was talking about Indigo Traveller, for I forget his name for the 10th time. And he's just like this backpacker from Australia that goes around to like sometimes war-torn countries and such like that, and investigates. He's been to Syria and Haiti has been a couple of places he's been to, and he doesn't go there like top level looking at, oh, look, this place is so pretty. He's going into the derelicts. He's going into, where there's crime, murders every day. I mean, there's in his Haiti video, he literally is under fire in some points and such like that, and has to hide away and, gets talking to these people to find out what's going on in their country, basically. And he's not coming at them with like a wealth of money or anything like that. He's just purely coming out of curiosity to try and, let them share their story. And to, like 2 others that I really enjoyed would probably be Channel 5, because he does a similar thing, very American. Politics doesn't kind of push a political thing, just lets people talk their story, pushes back where he can or where the interviewer can. And then I was thinking about it after, which is Andrew Huberman. I really like the way he kind of constantly is asking the people the questions. I mean, there's a reason he's #1 science podcast now, right? Like he does such a good job of discussing the science in such a good way. And I think, yeah, it's just like constantly having the open questions that you could listen for hours, knowing that there could be more and more questions coming and asked.
Nicely said, Craig. Yes. Anyone else?
I went with Michael Pollan, who is a investigative journalist who recently has made a Netflix program called How to Change Your Mind, and it's to do with psychedelic assisted therapy. And I really like how he conducts his podcasts and interviews for people to be able to change their mind. So looking at that cold front of psychedelics being looked at as an illicit substance into people coming into healing and therapy with that. And we're talking 67-year-old Catholic women that he interviews about the whole process of taking a psychedelic assisted drug and having the therapy after that, how it's affected them, how it's helped to improve their life, and that real softness in eliciting information and letting people tell their own story. Yeah, my favorite.
Oh, that softness. I love that.
Yeah, I like the softness. Like there's the way that Michael just allows someone to tell the stories and then will ask a very poignant question, because these are people who aren't coming from a party background. They're literally people who have had hardcore mental health concerns, who have had whether it's LSD or whether it's MDMA, psilocybin, completely flipped their world into a world they can live in and live without suicide ideation or live without depression or live without. So psilocybin's being used in cessation of alcohol and other drugs as well. So speaking with addicts and the different, when you're presenting that to the world and trying to get the whole world to change their mind about how we're viewing this particular drug, whether it's illicit or not, or what its healing properties are, the way that Michael allows people to tell their own story within that, and the strength in the very poignant questions he asks to elicit particular information throughout that story is just really strong and really well done.
Nice. Thank you.
Some key things we spoke of in our group were we were all of the same mind and the opinion that we preferred the comedy presenters. So we preferred the Graham Nortons, the Trevor Noahs, and so forth, the Jimmy Fallons, because we like that lighthearted. So we're not deep political view seekers and so forth. But what we did share collectively was the sincerity of interviews, which is why one of my favorites is Graham Norton. He does his research, he does his background, he's up to date with all his information. Doesn't matter who's on his couch, whether they're a newcomer, new to the Hollywood, new to the industry, or whether they're a Dane. Everybody on his couch gets treated equally. He invests as interest and sincerity when he engages with them. So there's, and I think that's what we all spoke about, is the sincerity. So we preferred a lot of the Australian and the UK presenters and journalists because culturally we're very similar. We're self-deprecating. We have a great sense of humor. So we see that and we relate to that in interview techniques, as opposed to a lot of the American presenters and journalists who tend to be insincere, very strong agenda driven and political driven. So that was an interesting thing as a group we discussed, and you brought it up, that we were all, our favorite ones were all male. And the only one that were mentioned that we didn't like was female. And then we tried to think about, oh, why is it? Why do we prefer male presenters over female. So we didn't get into that discussion, but it was something that I thought was interesting and thought provoking.
Holy dooly, actually, you just blew my mind a little bit. I can hear my echo coming back through, but can you guys hear me okay? Yeah, cool. Was I said in the ones that I didn't like, I mentioned the politics of them and the fact that like they branched away from their area of expertise. They're American, and it was the politics and that sort of stuff. And now that you're saying it, I'm like, you know what? Like, if you think about it, like my parents are millennials. No, I'm a millennial, I think. I don't know. My parents are baby boomers. And so, like, I grew up in the era of, like, don't even celebrate Halloween because that's an American thing, right? It's like almost like this inbuilt thing to be against the risk taking, excuse Peaches and her lack of modesty. Like the risk taking culture that they have financially, the entrepreneurship and that sort of stuff. The whole culture is based on risking and losing everything. You look at the financial crash, all of that. And so, like, loud and in your face, and yeah, it can get really overwhelming. The only American podcast presenter interviewer that I can think of that actually is still calming and has that approachability and stuff are people that work in the fields of psychiatry and psychotherapy. So it would be really, really interesting to see how that all pans together as well. And they also actively avoid politics. It's like part of their thing that they talk about, and then they'll like make a podcast about the Goldwater rule and all of that sort of stuff. But yeah, I didn't think about the cultural similarities. As far as voices go and like women, the only thing that I can think about is how easily annoying a lot of feminine voices sound when it's recorded and played back. Like we've all heard the story about how much we hate our voice when we can hear it in a recording. But I've noticed that there's a sharpness to like our voices, especially when I'm tired, and that's when I'll listen to podcasts. It's like almost like jarring, at times, especially I mean, a lot of people say that Australian women sound like pirates, whereas Australian men, it's like this thing, A lot of people like Australian men's accents. So I wonder if it actually has to do with the audio quality, as well as potentially the content of what's being spoken about. But yeah, that's really cool.
That's great.
I just want to say, uh, based on what you were saying about like political thing for it, like I'm from America, and it's such an overtone for absolutely everything, in everything, from everyone. You can't have an open discussion with anyone about anything. Nobody's really allowed to have their own belief system. Um, when you speak to someone, you're either right or wrong. And I think we spoke about how having an open mind when you go in an interview is huge, because if you're I I find that a lot of those interviewers, especially political interviewers, they have an agenda in their interviewing process and they're trying to trip people up. Um, and I don't think that that's a positive interviewing skill. Well, I guess it's a skill, but not doing what
I
you
feel like
want.
that depends on what information you're trying to elicit. What is the purpose of your interview? And what information are you trying to elicit and convey? And I feel like when we come into qualitative research, we're reading so much more than the actual language of it, as well as the behavior that we're watching in
Yeah, but
alignment.
if you don't let people speak in their interview and you try and get them to say certain things to go to your agenda,
Yeah, that's what,
you're not
sometimes
going to be able to
it's the
see.
focus, sometimes it's not. It just depends on what the interviewer is trying to elicit, I guess.
Yeah, I think the openness to let people speak and say what they are going to say is what's really important, and that's how you get to see what their own experiences are. If you don't let them speak, then, or if you don't let them say what it is that they want to say when they come into an interview, you're never going to know how they feel. And I think
I,
that's really important in politics too. If you can't open the discussion or the floor to allow for disagreement, what are we doing?
It's really interesting. People are kind of, yeah, there's in some of the discussion group, the breakout rooms, there was this kind of discussion around power imbalances and so on. It's kind of really interesting that, yeah, the sort of interviewing you'll be doing is about creating the space for someone to open up about their views, and also for you to be able to be open with yours without it being confrontational, and being that kind of sort of that soft, sincere type of interviewing as people have described it. But Liberté Rose, you absolutely right, there's that. It depends on who you're interviewing and what you want to know. And sometimes there can be really effective interviewing techniques when you're talking to someone who's powerful, in whose interest it's not to disclose. And actually, your job is to get them to disclose stuff that maybe they don't want to disclose. Then absolutely, as it calls for a very different tact. So all of this is very much within kind of interviewing, and people.
And others have discussed differently to how we discussed in our group. So Sandy and I were very much health-driven backgrounds of people who are interviewers. There was one really famous, like the Fallon type, that another person was discussing, like the Nortons and the Fallons of the industries, and another one in our group, like the political interviewers. So they were very, very different types of interviewers there, where I'm noticing most of the class are going with the run-of-the-mill commercial type of, and a lot of us weren't TV watchers.
Yeah. And what you're going to find, I'm just going to start wrapping up. These are really valuable discussions. So next week, you're going to have a go at interviewing. We're just going to run a smaller groups than today. And don't be nervous, it'll be fine. Because we'll be going for the kind of nice, relaxed rather than interrogation. So it'll be the nice, relaxed type of interviewing. But yes. But it's that point that...
Sorry. Assessment?
Friendly security guard, grumpy security guard.
Grumpy security guard. Yeah, we'll try not to embody the grumpy security guard persona, but we'll...
When you team up, that's what you are. You're the friendly and you're the grumpy one.
Okay.
The good cop, bad cop. It's the same. Everybody goes.
Well, we'll see what comes out next week. But what we'll be doing is having a go, role-playing, because what becomes interesting is seeing what happens when you start interviewing and whether you start inhabiting the role of what you think an interviewer should be. And it might not necessarily be it's not going to be uncomfortable, but it'll be kind of something will be interesting in that. There'll be a first time you'll be first and hopefully only time you'll be using our interview guide. So when you go to Moodle, have a look for next week. You'll see the activity and there'll be an interview guide there, which is the interview guide. It might be the same one or it might be a different one. It might be the same one that will be used for the assessment. But there's a trick with the assessment in relation to the interview guide that some people will never get. But you don't use the interview guide in your assessment. But we're going to use it next week when you're role-playing interviewing to give you a sense of why interview guides, these are a list of questions that you have to ask your participant, why they might not be a good thing. But just to wrap up, keep these discussions going. Next week, the aim is it's an hour and a half session. I try to keep it down to about an hour and see if we can open up space for you to kind of talk with each other without me coming in and ruining it with my kind of monologues. But also to create a little bit of peer-based learning, a space where you can just talk with each other, because you're doing it's week one and you're already talking, you're picking up some really important stuff in your discussions. So if we can, hour and a half is actually quite short to get this in. But if we can, I'll leave early to give you the space to do that. Unless you want me to hang around, then I'll hang around. But it's a great session. So thanks so much for starting off week one so wonderfully well. And anyone got any last word? Any last words? I got a no from Gwen. Got a no from Sabrina. We've got a Bree going, that wasn't a Roman salute, was it? There's been a few of those on screen. Okay, right, okay, no, that was a thumbs up. So I think people are signalling that, hold on, signalling it's time to go. I've got no tricks to play, apart from some gentle leaving music. So thanks, it's been wonderful. Really, really looking forward to the next few sessions with you guys. And thanks so much for your time. I'm terrible at goodbyes. It's a very British thing. I make it really awkward. So
thank you, Paul.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you. Martin is such
Thanks,
sweet.
August.
And Ked, you did the right. Ked, you did the right thing because you can't switch. Oh, you have switched off. Well done. Sorry, Craig, I spoke over you then. On and Callum. Away.
Bye, Paul.
Thank you for coming back to say goodbye. It's nice. Nice to see you. See you next week.
See ya.
Bye-bye. I think am I good to close the meeting? I see you there, Callum. But I'm going to close. Thank you so much. See you next week.